What is up, Imp Knights? In today's video, I want to have a discussion with you guys with Black Lightning Season 1, Episode 9. We are continuing this Black Lightning series. And before we begin this video, I want you guys to please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and post a comment below, and we can have a discussion about Black Lightning Season 1, Episode 9. But okay, so how this episode actually started was that Jefferson, just to give you guys a brief recap, just learned that Gambi was lying to him for most of his life, and that Gambi worked for the ASA, and he ends up leaking the information to Jefferson's father, who ends up getting murdered by Tobias. And because of that, Gambi felt bad for Jefferson and ended up raising him. So now we're going to fast forward to where after he told Jefferson that, obviously Jefferson was mad and was like, just don't come near me, don't trust you. So now we open the episode with him beating on the bag, frustrated and abusing the bag and taking out all that anger he felt on that bag. And then he ends up after he breaks the bag, he ends up or knocking it off its spot. He ends up calling Henderson, and Henderson and Jefferson end up having to talk about the evidence that was going on, because Jefferson told Henderson about the evidence on what was going on, and then Henderson ends up sending it to another cop, and then another cop ends up coming and getting himself killed in the process, because they didn't know that it was a booby trap or how to work it. They just did what they were told, and that angered Jefferson, aka Black Lightning, because he's like, dude, I told you, why did you send some other cop? Well, you know, half of your department is crooked. And so Henderson ends up saying, you know what, even though it's so easy for you, why don't I use up some of my vacation time to get some evidence? So that's what ends up going on in the first half, the first 15-20 seconds or so. I shouldn't say 20, about a minute of the episode. But then we switch over to when Anissa walks in on Jennifer after Jennifer told Anissa about, you know, her powers, or which she thinks she's going crazy. So she's in the bed sulking because she's like, I might be a lunatic. I might something's wrong with me, because I must be smoking too much weed. I need some Prozac. And Anissa's like, yo, look, baby girl, you are not crazy. We have special powers. I thought I was going crazy, but, you know, she's being a 16-year-old girl. Like, no, she pretty much didn't believe it. But then Anissa showed her by lifting up her bed. Now, the thing about that part that I'm not understanding is how, because she lifted up a bed, did that symbolize that she has superpowers? She could have punched a hole through a wall or grabbed herself and stabbed herself and it broke. That would have symbolized more to me that she had powers than lifting up a bed, because for the most part, regular people can lift up a bed. I mean, I don't know, they didn't explain that, defy the fact that she just lifted up her bed. But that ends up freaking Jennifer out. And because it ends up freaking Jennifer out, she runs to her dad after, you know, Anissa told her that she's Thunder and, you know, Jefferson is Black Lightning. Didn't believe her, ran to her dad, asked the same question, and got angry because she felt like Jefferson lied to her whole life about the fact that he had powers and that he is Black Lightning. Which, you know, I guess for a 16-year-old that would make sense, because she thought she was a normal girl, but she's actually born a metahuman, which, you know, was put any anybody in shock. Like, think about it from that perspective. Like, if you was someone who thought you was normal, then you come to find out that you have some form of special ability, you might be in shock. So she was a little bit in shock, which I thought was pretty cool, because that leads to the next segment of them having that little blowout where, you know, Jefferson and his ex-wife end up talking to Anissa, and they didn't agree because they wanted to tell her in their own way, but as Anissa pointed out, she understands what Jennifer is going through, because she felt the same way at first when she discovered her powers. And she tried to explain that to Jefferson, but he was like, no, he had a good idea because he was the first with the powers. But she makes a point that, you know, they lied to her about, you know, the fact that he's Black Lightning, which is actually true. Even though Lynn put it in a perspective, they still technically lied, or they just left it out. I shouldn't say they lied. They left it out. They felt that they didn't need to know, and then, you know, he stopped being Black Lightning, so there was no real purpose in telling them that they're black, that he's Black Lightning. So I mean, you know, you can understand that part to an extent, but at the end of the day, they have a little argument, but, you know, Anissa apologized, like, yo, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, I was just trying to help her. And it was like, it doesn't matter, because we're at the point now where everybody is developing powers, so we need to work on how to fix this, as well as fix Freeland from green light, because green light is more dangerous than crack and is devastating Freeland to a certain extent. And one of the funniest scenes I thought in that whole thing is when she walked in on Jennifer. Actually, I thought that was hilarious, and it was like, you know, I kind of know what you're going through. And she was like, not unless you about to come in here and tell me you Vixen or something. And then she was like, are you? And Lynn was like, I'm busted. And she had the funniest facial expression, but pretty much just told Jennifer when she's ready to talk, she's there to listen, because she understands. Now, a person without powers, I don't fully understand how would Lynn truly understand understand what Jennifer's going through. I mean, I don't know, but I think maybe she understands the emotional turmoil because of what she went through with Jefferson, and when he was roaming around as Black Lightning, she was always stitching him up. So maybe that's what she's talking about. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I think writers probably should have explained that a little bit more, a little better than what they did. So now we switch over to, I don't know, Gamby, man. They got the Mr. Secret is what his name should be. This dude always having secrets, always having contingency plans. It just feels like that. But all right, so what he ends up doing is injecting one of the ASA operatives with Black Mamba venom, and it's a fast-acting venom. He has an antidote, and he wanted some information about the green light and all that, and when about ASA and stuff. And when the operative gave it to him, after the operative was like, I have a family, why are you doing this? He was like, just give me what I want. The operatives end up giving him what he want, and then, you know, he gave him the antidote and told him that he'll be fine. Now, another funny scene in Black Lightning, this episode actually, is when Anissa and Jennifer, because they can't really operate as Thunder and Lightning at the moment, they end up wearing masks, and Jefferson actually has a Barack Obama mask over his face, which I thought was hilarious. And they end up talking to this lawyer, and it's from Ben's Corp, and he was like, I can't, is a privilege attorney, I forgot how they said it, but pretty much like attorney customer privilege or something. I'm saying that wrong, so I apologize because I can't remember. But they start intimidating him, and one of the things that Jefferson does to show his lightning ability, which melts some of the papers, while Anissa was like, well, I'll just start going through this and hack your stuff. I got all the time in the world. And like I said, Jefferson's like, no, I don't. You better give me that stuff, or else you gonna get electrocuted. You should have seen how fast that boy gave up his password and everything. Like, here you go. He gave that up quickly. He didn't want no parts of that. He didn't want no type of smoke about that. Another thing is that another part of the episode, it was actually, this episode has some funny moments, because another funny part of the episode is when Jennifer and Anissa talk, while Jennifer was like on, looked like about to be on her laptop, about to look up a YouTube page. Anissa, try to talk to her and just telling her, that it's going to be okay, and that having powers is a good thing, and it could be a blessing from God. But as we know, Jennifer's 16. She wants to live a normal life, and she feels like this is not a blessing. She feels it's more like a burden and a curse, and because of that, she's not really feeling it. She's kind of in a depressive state. But the one thing that she finds out is that this guy was talking about Thunder's butt or ass, and kind of like they made kind of like a song out of it. But that kind of like annoyed Anissa to a certain extent, but she ends up watching it anyway and reading what the comments, and she actually enjoyed it, I should say. Then we get to my boy Henderson. That cop is funny. The only clean cop, it seems like. What he ends up finding out is that his sergeant, or the leader of the team of cops, I think he's the sergeant, is Damon, is actually a dirty cop, and he works for one of Tobias' men or something like that. So he ends up learning that, and he ends up following them, something that you probably shouldn't do, especially when you have no backup. So he ends up following him. And Black Lightning was trying to tell him, like, Jefferson's like, no, you don't need to follow him, pull away, I'm too far away. But he's like, I got to, because this is a big thing, and we may not find anything like it. Like, I mean, not anything like it, but I may not get this opportunity again, so I have to follow him. And so he left and did his thing on that. Now Anissa ends up talking to Gambi and holding a conversation with Gambi. She wanted to know for herself about what Gambi did, and he explained to her, like he explained to Jefferson, that he made some choices in the past that he's not proud of, but he's been trying to fix it, and that no matter what, he still adores the Pierce family, which Anissa can respect. She didn't agree with it, but she's like, I can pretty much respect that. And then we have the storming of the lab. They end up storming the lab, and they end up slapping people around, and pretty much it's just a normal day in the office. So What I would give this episode is a 4 out of 5 do-rags. I think it was a cool episode. It had funny moments. And if you can make me laugh, you're doing a good job, because I don't laugh that easily with TV shows, especially superhero TV shows. So if you can have funny moments, that's a plus. Well, I'm gonna catch you guys on the next episode, so be on the lookout for episode 10. That should be coming out soon. And yeah, peace out, y'all.